Hello everyone, hope that you're okay, hope you're keeping well. It was great seeing some of you last Tuesday. Really missed not meeting with you on a Tuesday evening. Myself and Joe and all the leaders of Tuesday Club send their very best wishes to you, and we're certainly hoping and praying that we can meet with you very soon. So this week's offering to you is a little sort of play, but I'm playing all the parts myself, so that's okay, isn't it? And it's entitled Jesus, Innocent or Guilty. And as you know, the priests have been plotting against Jesus. Judas Iscariot has taken 30 pieces of silver and betrayed Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And the priests have done this mock trial where they've accused Jesus and found him guilty of blasphemy, which under Jewish law is punishable by death. And so deciding what to do next, and they can't actually carry out the death sentence because they haven't got the power to do so, but one person that has in the province is a man called Pontius Pilate. So the priests take Jesus to the Roman governor Pontius Pilate to confirm the death sentence that they've just bestowed on the sham trial. But Pontius Pilate wants to free him. He's afraid of the consequences to himself. Let's see what happens. So Caiaphas, with a group of priests, has brought Jesus to the court of the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. But Caiaphas does not enter the building. He states that we can't go into Pilate's headquarters or we will become unclean and unable to eat the Passover. So he says to one of the soldiers, will you go and ask the governor whether he will come out to us? So Pontius Pilate comes out to the crowd, the priests, and holding Jesus there. And he asks the question, why have you brought this man to me? What's he done? And Caiaphas, who is a bit of a nasty character, very power crazy. This is Jesus, the Nazarene, who's been perverting the nation and telling people not to pay taxes to the emperor. He's committed blasphemy by setting himself up as a Messiah, and he claims to be king. And Pontius Pilate turns around and said, Jesus of Nazareth? I've heard of this man. Take him yourselves and judge him according to your law. And Caiaphas replies that they'd already done that, but that they were not permitted to put anyone to death. So Pontius Pilate, a bit irritated, says, well, bring him up here then so that I can question him. As he's doing that, a maidservant whispers to Pontius Pilate's right-hand man, sir, I have a message for the governor from his wife. And she gives this message to a man called Quintilinus. And Quintilinus says to Pilate, sir, I have an urgent message for you from your wife. And Pontius Pilate, again, he's starting to get really irritated. He says, my wife, she knows not to interrupt me in court. What does she say? And Quintilinus, reading from the tablet, says this, she warned you not to have anything to do with this Jesus, whom she describes as an innocent man. She says she's had a really bad dream about this. Do you want to send a reply? And Pilate, looking a little bit worried, says, yes, tell her that I understand her concerns and I will be cautious. So Pontius Pilate turns around to Jesus and he says, are you king of the Jews? But Jesus doesn't answer. And what about these other charges that they bring against you? Jesus remains silent. Pilate started to get a bit irritated because he's the boss man, really. He said, what's the matter with you? Why don't you answer me? Are you a king? And Jesus replies, are you asking me this because you want to know? Or because of what the Jewish people are saying? And Pilate, really irritated, says, but am I a Jew? It is your own people who handed you over to me. What have you done? Jesus said, you say I am a king. My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my followers would be fighting to prevent me from falling into the hands of the Jewish leaders. But my kingdom is far from here. So Pilate again asks him, so you are a king then? Jesus just turns around and said, it's you who keeps calling me a king. But I was born and came into this world to bear witness to the truth. Anyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice. Pilate now is irritated. Truth? What is truth? And Pilate again turns to his right-hand man, Quintilinus, and says, whatever this man is, he's done nothing wrong as far as I can see. I'd like to release him. But Quintilinus warns Pilate that the priests are really jealous of him. But he also said that he's heard that the common people love him. So he suggests to Pontius Pilate, why don't we appeal to the crowd directly? Because it's Passover time. You could offer to release either Jesus or somebody else. That happened to be Barabbas. He was a murderer and somebody that was not very nice, guilty of insurrection. A thoroughly nasty piece of work, according to Quintilinus. Pilate turned to the priest and the crowd and he said, I can find no case against this man. But you have a custom that one prisoner is released at the Passover. So, shall I release for you the king of the Jews or Barabbas, the convicted murderer? And some of the crowd shout, Jesus, Jesus. But Caiaphas and his cohorts, priests and the leaders move through the crowd, asking them to shout for Barabbas and not for Jesus. It takes a little while, but eventually everybody is shouting for Barabbas to be released. Pilate appeals to the crowd again. What shall I do then with this Jesus who is called the Messiah? And the priests start to shout very loudly, crucify him. And they turn to the crowd and urge them to take up the call, crucify him, crucify him. And Pilate asks again, because he knows deep down the truth. Why? What evil has he done? I find in him no grounds for the sentence of death. I shall have him flogged and then release him. But Caiaphas, who has been plotting all along, says if you let him go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who sets himself up as a king is an enemy of Caesar. Pilate, turning back, says enough. Get the girl to fetch me a bowl of water. He turns round to Quintilinus. I have no choice. I cannot save him from these priests. He washes his hands in the water, and as he does so, I am innocent of the blood of this just man. See to it yourselves. crowd say, "His blood be upon us and upon our children." And Pilate then says to the soldiers, "Take him away and flog him." Pontius Pilate could find no wrong in Jesus. It was a plot by Caiaphas and his priests, making things up that were simply untrue. Jesus was innocent. But as he had foretold, it was God's will that he be crucified so that he could conquer death and save us from our sins. I hope you found that interesting this week. And I'll be speaking to you again in a few weeks' time. But for myself, Joe, and all the leaders of Tuesday Club, have a great time while you're off on your hollybobs. Keep yourselves busy, and above all, keep safe and smile.